Welcome, everybody, to the Journeymen Lounge Podcast.
You better be praying to God because, you're 14 and losses in a row. You're going to need Jesus.
Am I wrong?
I thought you were pretty wrong, yeah.
Welcome, everybody, to the Journeymen Lounge, formerly known as the Journeymen Podcast. We decided to move to the lounge because it more embodies our laid-back type of demeanor. And we feel like anywhere can be the Journeyman Lounge because we're going to take this podcast all over the goddamn United States of America.
And it just separates us a little bit more from other
similar
named things.
More specificity.
Right.
Yes.
So, without further ado, let's just get right into it here. So, we got an album review coming up. We got Inception. I got the board ready to rock.
This is crazy. You guys got to see this. He's got like a Charlie Day, or Charlie Kelly, I should say.
Yeah, from
fucking Always Sunny. We got
a nice
board
chart here.
We're gonna throw it up. I'll have a picture up.
Fucking love it.
on the
Pepe
thing.
Silvio.
But before we get to that, let's just do a little breakdown here about the Illini. We had kind of talked about them before,
Oh my God.
and they got smoked by UConn, right?
Well,
Yeah.
let's start with the first game. They did well against Iowa State, even though they should have made way more free throws. They were blowing it with the free throws that game, but they played overall.
They played
pretty well.
A solid game outside of a few hiccups, as you mentioned.
They had some good key moments from certain players, but then they ran into a fucking buzzsaw at UConn. The first half was close, 28-23, and then they proceeded to score 30 straight points in the Illini.
I think they
got
lost by 30,
nothing.
right?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I literally was at work. I couldn't watch because we were busy, but I went to them. I'm like, oh, cool, it's close. It's about to be the second half. Came back, and it was like 30. There's on my 30. I couldn't believe it.
I mean, I don't know really what happened there, but I mean, UConn is really making a statement though. Like I saw like a stat thing of like they've won 13 straight NCAA games now.
I was gonna say first
like
of all, the returning champions, which doesn't necessarily mean anything because college basketball players come and go all the time. But I think it certainly helps give you confidence and give them confidence. And then they got that big 7'2", 7'3" guy, Klingon or whatever his name is. That
I think
guy
that's
is
the
force.
bad guys from Star Trek.
Yes,
but
he is. But he's
Same name though. Yeah,
force to
about
be
the same,
reckoned with, man. That dude
That
is
guy
a
cleans glass,
and that's
dude.
the problem with the Illini. They don't really have a lot of big guys like that besides Dane Danger, and he's not even like near that guy's skill level and height.
No, yeah, I think that you very poetically put it correctly. They ran into a buzzsaw. UConn was just so much more. They outmatched.
They were in
him.
so much control of that game. That's what I guess I saw was there was so much control and then ball movement. They were able to create a lot of opportunities.
A lot of open layups.
A lot of drives to the paint that were not being contested. So having that demeanor though too, like they had that calm, controlled. They were just running it on you, but you never saw them when they are down, they're never down. Like they're never up.
They're never out.
You're right,
down,
exactly.
yeah.
But they keep that steady cool throughout the entire game, which that's tough to go by, especially college guys to get that level of professionalism. Call it that.
I mean, yeah, they're playing like the best team in the country right now, and I mean, of
Alabama's
the other three teams that are left, Alabama,
NC State,
and
Purdue. Who's the number one overall seed?
Yep.
I said it from the beginning of the tournament, and I saw UConn play their first game. And I saw that big Clem guy. I'm like, this team can take Purdue. Like if they get to that point, like he can match up with them. It would be a great game. I feel like to see that.
Yeah, I think that's where it's going to head. I mean, I would love to see Alabama in the final just for monetary reasons.
It would be cool to see NC State, like just because they're like on like a hell of a run. They're like what
4-11
seed, but I mean. I think the better game would probably be Purdue and UConn.
I mean, the nice thing is that I got good optimism either way. If Alabama wins, I'm in the money, which is dope. And if Alabama loses and UConn-Purdue matchup, it should be a good game. So I'm like, hey, at least good basketball might prevail there.
Alabama's Griffin though. That guy's a sniper. If he comes alive against UConn,
Does that do with the mustache? The Pencilton mustache.
I don't know.
I don't believe so. He's I think they're shooting guard or
Okay.
but this guy, if you looked at his past couple games, he was raining threes, but he had that quick snap accuracy like Jason Kidd did. And that's tough to guard against, a guy who could just pull up and just drop them. So if they have the accuracy behind the arch, UConn's going to be in trouble. That's all.
The arch, I love it.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, we're filming this on Wednesday, and then the next game is on Saturday, and then Monday. So we'll know the national champ by then because they go Saturday and
next
then Monday,
podcast.
and then Monday, and also. The NCAA tournament, again, I think we mentioned it before, like maybe doing a little bit more the next time as we kind of get more, we found our voice really here in the last, I would say 10 episodes, 15 episodes or so. So, when we get...
I think we've hit our stride too. A lot of traction. Yeah.
I just think that when we get to that point of next year, March, I think we'll be able to kind of roll out a couple other things that'll be a little bit more prepared instead of just shooting off the hip.
We do that quite a bit here.
Oh, yeah. So, moving on here, news today. Fuck me sideways. Houston Texans.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Go ahead.
Jesus Christ.
Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs to Houston for like a second, a fourth, and a fifth.
I mean,
maybe or something like that.
Can I just say that this is hopefully what the Bears can do as well with, getting a rookie quarterback like they did, and you can build around the team around him, because you have the structured money with him and you can really piece out the other parts. And like, if you have a guy who's, who can helm the quarterback position, then you can really build upon that.
I mean, I think it's a great move for Houston. I'm now extremely scared of it. I was scared before of Houston going nuts this year, but
dude,
add in on top of that
Mixon and Diggs.
But I'm just saying, adding on top that their division is very weak, that almost, I wouldn't say almost guarantees them a spot, but it gives them great traction to get into the playoffs to actually do something. Because I think they got kind of screwed in terms of the seeding. They beat.
They had to play Baltimore in the playoffs.
They had to play Baltimore. That's right. So Baltimore was kind of like top dick on campus, and then you're coming to Houston. If they maybe would have played somebody a little less in
Houston, I think definitely would they overachieved this last year.
Expectations.
I don't
blew
think
those out.
I think they expected C.J. Stroud to be good, but not that good, not that quickly.
Right, and he had a young talent, Tank Dell, and
we had a lot of different younger
Nico
guys
Collins.
fill in some gaps that occurred due to injury, but. I'm praying because I like Stroud. I hope there's no sophomore slump. I hope there is only something to build on rather than something to fall back, towards.
You know what, too? Like I said before, he would be the first good Ohio State quarterback that I can recall in the NFL.
They've been a powerhouse in
college. They're always
level,
great, but NFL, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it remains to be seen. I mean, I'm definitely gonna be throwing a little cash money though on the over under total wins for Houston. I think this year and trying to
11 wins.
Trying to I'm probably gonna.
That's the line.
I don't know.
I'm assuming the line will probably be 9.5 or 10.5. I would definitely mash that over button and be like, all right, they're gonna have a good season.
I mean, I feel like they're probably a top 3 to 4 AFC team now, right? I mean, you got the Chiefs, you got I guess the Bills, but they've lost Diggs now, so who knows? And then the Ravens, maybe I don't know. Bengals could maybe be coming back, but who knows? I mean,
can I side swipe or swipe left
do
to
a quick,
different category, real quick?
Do a quick interjection.
Exactly. AJ and I have a running bet, and our White Sox are just dog shit. I'm a White Sox fan.
Terrible.
The bet is, $50, and we have another gentleman bet, on top of that. But he gave me a 25-game spread for the Cubs' overall record, regular season versus the White Sox. Last year it was a 20-game spread, and I lost that bet. I'm hoping with a 25-game spread, I stay in the money on this one. But
I don't know.
But I'm
we might not even get 50 wins.
That's the reality, and I apologize. Woj, I told I thought Atlanta was going to take the sweep. And we pulled off a win.
I'm really glad I didn't bet it. I was looking at the score, and then I realized I didn't get the bet in, and then I looked at it and I was like, oh, shit, the Sox are winning.
No, but I really think that bet I might be at risk here. Thoughts? Am I at risk? 25 games spread.
I would be more – I'm not as worried about the Cubs doing well as I am about the Sox doing poorly. Really historically bad.
But I think that the Cubs are not a team that's going to be coming out. In my opinion, the Cubs are a decent team, but their pitching is still
they can maybe get
extremely lacking though, that it doesn't bode well. And honestly, the Cubs opening day pitcher Justin Steele went down in their first game, like with a hamstring.
Right. I was going to bring that up.
You figure though they might be able to get like at their best, like 70 to 80 wins.
I would say 80 is probably the ceiling this year.
So that means the Sox have to win at least 60 games or 55 games.
But I this is the nice thing about that spread, though, is that, again, it's like, okay, if the Sox outperform expectations by winning 70 games, which is still dog shit.
It's possible.
You still end up being like, hey, I'm still in the.
If we get to 70, I would be over the moon. I think that's
it's an interesting bet. I do like that.
It would not surprise me too if they like start trading more people like Robert or whoever, like. Because, like, what are they? You're not trying to win, right? Like, I wouldn't want to be here.
We have some.
If I'm
dude,
him.
They traded. Who was the
trade? Dylan Cease. Traded.
We have DeYoung or DeYoung on our team.
They got rid of Tim Anderson, but I think that was more for like off field or attitude shit, or I don't know.
But the reality is, I almost feel like the White Sox, like their MO is, all right, well, let's grab someone who was great 3 or 4 years ago and let's put him on the roster and pay him a lot.
Yeah,
and,
of course,
dude. I think that's like since I've been a child, I think that's kind of how they did business outside of the 05 Sox, best MLB team on paper in history.
Let's go.
So, let's go. 05.
All right, living in the past. No,
All
just
right.
kidding. All right, so
they lost one game.
Let's
one playoff game.
We'll take a pause there on the baseball chat because when Barbarino comes back from his vacation, we'll definitely have some analysts on. We got our buddy AJ and Josh coming in to talk a little bit of baseball. So we'll kind of go a little bit more in depth at that time. But I do like the bringing up some
and this is what's going to murder it on the greens. I had this cleaned up, redone. So I'm hoping I could drop a few putts. We'll see.
Well, I mean, we're going to get a debrief after you get back from the trip in a couple weeks here. So let's move on, though, to our album review. So, again, I'm just going to throw up
excited about this
a picture here of we did the Marshall Mathers LP. That was my pick.
Graphic.
2000.
Never knew what.
I believe it's like his third album or something like that. Second album.
Came out a year after the first one.
So
2000, right? May of 2000.
I mean, I kind of like the separation into A B side.
Well, it's kind of like
A level.
You're like your singles, your radio play hits, and then your B ones are your
right. And I'm gonna remove the sketch kind of things, even though, as I was telling Bobby before we started rolling here, is that like I definitely appreciate the sketches in this one. Are more of like what I would they're like 50 seconds.
Oh, they're hilarious.
Minute.
He has them on all his albums, or on the first three.
But what I'm saying though is that they're shorter in nature. Like the Kanye West ones is just in comparison is what I'm thinking of. Is like they are good as well, but sometimes the Kanye West ones do get drawn out. Where I'm like, you know what? As a sketch in an album, I would like to be a little bit shorter, get to the point. And then
I would think that they were a little longer because they had D. Ray Davis on there, and he's like a comedian, so they probably wanted to give him adequate time. Whereas Eminem's doing the voices himself, mostly. He's doing the Ken Kniff or whoever. I mean, obviously besides Steve Berman or Paul or whatever, Rosenberg. But
I'm just saying that to me, the sketches kind of hit very well in terms of breaking up the album, 50 seconds, 35 seconds, then back into the song. So. I would say A-side, and I'm just going in order. I'm not in order of like how good they are or whatever, but like Kill You was definitely not played on the radio, but I think that's definitely one of his better songs off of the album. You have Stan, The Way I Am, Real Slim Shady, Marshall Mathers, and then Bitch Please, but I don't think that was played. I don't know if that was played a whole...
Bitch Please 2.
Okay, whatever. But I don't think that was played a whole lot.
That never
on
hit the radio.
right?
No, there's no way.
Maybe on the rap stations, but probably not the pop, the main one.
I mean, is there any other one that I'm missing? That
Kim's on there.
But again, was it a radio play?
Are you saying radio ones or just
that was a radio one?
No. I'm saying these are the A ones, like A side that you heard all the time and played all the time, like Slim Shady, The Way I Am. Those ones were played all the time.
I mean, I would say the
doesn't matter if they were.
Yeah, I would say the
Amityville, isn't that one on there too?
I like Amityville. I forgot about that song, but I don't think it got a whole lot of radio.
I mean, I really think the A ones, the singles, are Stan, The Way I Am, and The Real Slim Shady. Those would be the top.
Right.
For sure.
Those are the top for sure. And then the B side is again pretty much everything else. I really had.
Are we each gonna pick one of each?
Yeah, walk us through it.
I mean, I'll start with it. The real real Slim Shady for sure. That's the one that I mean I think I resonate with the most, of just like always played in the room at some event at somebody's house.
That was definitely the big radio.
But I'm just saying it was always on, like, during this time period.
And a great music video.
The B-side, the one that I really just didn't feel at all, is the drug ballad.
Wait, you didn't like, or I'm saying the one you liked, the B one you liked.
The B one I liked was definitely Amityville.
Okay, and then what one you didn't like?
The one I just didn't like, and I just kind of grouped these into a couple. In my mind, the collaborations on this one, to me, it just didn't hit me. That's just my opinion. I mean, some of them could be better to other people, but
you didn't like the featured artists or something?
I didn't like the song in general with the people. Like, and it's crazy because the one has Snoop Dogg
and Exhibit. Yeah, that one too. I'm on that same bandwagon. It just
to me, it just didn't hit as well as some other songs that collab. And it's shocking because it's like it's Snoop and Eminem. Like,
I'll just say this: it's more forgettable, if not forgettable, compared to the other tracks on the album. There it is.
Okay, for my.
And I took that personally. And I took that. Go ahead.
Ryan might have taken
for me, well, for me, my A1, definitely The Way I Am. That's probably honestly my favorite Eminem song in general. I can always listen to that. It gets me pumped up, or if I'm in a bad mood, or it's just like you can really feel the passion in that song, like the feeling he had, like of like the media just bothering him and everybody getting up in his shit, and like because he was huge.
Well, that's when he got popular.
Yeah, right. So like he's really writing from true life and events and his heart, and you can really feel it in that. It's a great beat too, and also great music video where he's falling off the skyscraper and rapping. And then for B-side, man, there's so many good ones. Man, it's tough. I actually do like Bitch Please too. I wouldn't pick it as my favorite, but I do like it, and I actually do like Remember Me. I think you guys are not giving that enough credit. I like that one. That was good.
All right.
But if I had to pick a B one, I don't know. Probably I'm Back. I like that one a lot.
I'm Back. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's again, it's like with Eminem. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I honestly like all of the songs, maybe except for like Kim is kind of like one you have to be in the mood for. It's kind of goes on kind of long. It's pretty dark and.
So Kim, I like the.
That might be the only one I would skip.
Okay,
I like the murder part.
I like the refrain of that song, the loop, if you will. Yeah. So that hits hard, but you're right. It's a 6.5 minute or over 6 minute song that is quite morbid and scary. Honest to God, a lot of the lyrics and the storylines and even the voiceovers are just, troubling to say the least. But like I said, he's such, I think, a creative artist. I'm just curious.
I mean, he really paints a picture,
Oh, absolutely. But I'm just curious in the sense of similar to, everyone's giving me shit about, the way I, rap and do this and that. I'm like, at some point, dude, your source material has to come from a source. How off center are you? I'm just curious because you can't rap heavy about this stuff if this doesn't go bouncing around in your head.
Breaking news: source material comes from a source.
Well, I don't know.
You're gonna be that guy.
Eventually,
you said source in 3 words.
Eventually, Eminem got more into like.
I'll never forgive you.
Pills and shit. So I don't think at this time he was, but maybe.
I know that he had that addiction at one point in his career.
Could have influenced it.
It just
I think honestly, just like his wife. I mean, I don't know the whole thing about her, obviously, just from what his songs are, but like clearly hurt him really bad. He loved her, and they have a kid, and he's getting that out in his song.
It's really. I mean, I think at its core, it's like, hey, you went through a bad breakup, divorce, what have you, and instead of him saying like, oh, like, fuck you, he went like, what if I murdered you? Like, and that's where Kim
right,
is like,
dude, yeah, he went Stephen King on them in that sense. But one thing that, I mean, is clear in all of his lyrics is, did he have a very stable relationship with women in his life? The answer is no.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, I think
it's not. I don't think it's any surprise that I think a lot of these artists are like definitely fucked up mentally.
Well, it's not.
aspect.
I think you're taking the lyrics too literally. Like Eminem was like controversial back then. Like that was part of his thing. Like he would do those lyrics and those songs. Like
okay, but is it for
he really pushed
rating points?
I think he liked pushing the boundaries of
Push
freedom
the
of
envelope,
speech and like being creative. And he has a really creative mind and the way he raps and does things and like at the time and now he's still one of the most unique rappers. Like like. No one is. I mean, like
you're right.
Like
no one could
Eminem,
really touch his style.
That's
period.
his
I
thing.
get
I
it.
mean, dude, I think it was pretty much solidified when MGK went after him a couple of years ago, and he just
and look
came
where
back,
he's at now.
He came back and he just fucking said, "I'm sorry, did you say something, bitch?" Like it was just like. He stands the test of time. I would be interested in like the next, which we'll get to in just a little bit.
He's the
here.
god of rap, man. He's the MJ.
But I'm just saying, like, if we do, like, we obviously did one of his, like, more, I would say, not heyday, but, like, definitely his earlier success in rap. If then you went to, like, something later, 16 years, 18 years later, whenever he released some other stuff, I'm wondering if we kind of are still going to be saying the same thing. Because obviously the mood changes.
Well,
he's definitely older. He's got a different...
I think it depends on what kind of Eminem you like. Like, for me, I don't like the newer stuff as much. I don't listen to as much, to be fair. I haven't really, like, sat down like I was with these first 3 or 4 albums. Like, the first 3 to me are, like, perfect. They're so good. Then afterwards, like, it's kind of like I don't listen to them as much, but I do like... I liked Relapse and the other one, Recovery. But then, like, the last, let's say, like, 10 years or so, I haven't really, outside of, like, what I hear at work, like, my friend Arthur at work, he loves Eminem.
Shout out.
He would be a great guy to have on this topic. Like, he listens to him all the time.
Put some comments in. Drop in. Let us know what you're thinking.
Well, we might have Arthur
To me,
on.
it
Who
seems
knows?
like he got, like, my interpretation of him, or my opinion, I guess, would be more like his first few stuff is more, like, controversial and crazy and, like shock value kind of things.
Right, yeah.
And then later on, he kind of got more like lyrical, like more like focused on like, let me show you how many words I can rap this scale.
Yeah, what is that, Rap God, where he sets like the record
like how
for...
fast I can go.
So more of a purist in that.
More
in
of
that.
like his skill set, like
Right.
not as much with the controversy, more of like just like I can out rap circles around any of you. Like he has like a whole thing where he raps like certain vowels like the whole time. Like it's crazy. Like
Yeah, I just think that, again, it would be interesting because, again, as we do the album reviews, we're doing, stuff like some of these artists that we've done literally have been recording and doing shit for 30 years now. So, like, it is a thing of, like, I'm interested to see you like them at this certain, like you said, like in their heyday or like their this time period. Does it translate to like, hey, do you still find certain aspects of this? Because like I think just in purest form, like even shock value lyrics or whatever, he still ends up rapping shit where I'm like, it's kind of like a little jokey, but I'm also appreciating that I'm like, oh shit, like I could never think of this stuff to rap this.
That's part of his thing is like, like nobody else
right.
could think of this shit and no one could do it in this flow with this type of rhyme.
Right.
And this, beat and like, and also he's the fact that he's a white guy.
Right.
Like, I mean, just saying like, like a lot of people, some people don't like that or whatever, but I think regardless of his
Music's music.
if he's white or black, like he's one of the best rappers of all time. Like he's fucking amazing.
I would agree with that.
That's why I give no love to Drake. All right.
All right.
Another
so
hate.
Any other final statements here?
I would say I was just curious. Is this your guys' favorite Eminem album? Like mine would be the Eminem Show. This is the next one. I have more nostalgia listening to that. Like I was like 13 when it came out.
What's a couple? Just give me a couple.
Oh, we got the first one, the Slim Shady LP. Got this one, the Marshall.
No. What are a couple
from your
songs
album.
on?
Oh,
on
the Eminem Show.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like the popular ones. I'm Sorry, Mama, Superman.
Okay. Yeah.
Without Me, Say Goodbye to Hollywood.
Okay, I got you.
There's a ton of them. They're all
They have a
bangers.
lot. They got a lot of good hits there.
Yeah. To me, I would probably go with this. Is probably.
Like I want to say too. They're all like the first 3. I think you could pick any of them, and they would all be good choices.
I think to me, it just kind of interchanges. Like all of them are good. I obviously end up like honing in on like 3 or 4 from each ones that are like these are my go-to Eminems.
Like you could group them all together in an Eminem playlist. They would all be there.
Greatest Eminem hits from 98 to 2002 or whatever.
Sure, for sure.
Yeah.
That's prime Eminem.
But again, I don't really rank them above like, hey, this one. I think they're all kind of like he threw out 3 bangers in a row. So what do you think?
Can we add value real quick? I know we're wrapping up.
Yeah,
but
we gotta wrap.
With adding Dido, that Australia based. So there's rock
For
involved.
Stan, yeah, it's great.
Like I said, there's a lot, and he's collabed with a lot of other musicians'
Well,
styles,
he
and
did-
it's just. I really could appreciate that because he makes it his own. He makes it unique, but it keeps that same type of,
Well, if you guys recall too, he did that song live at the Grammys with Elton John performing as
like I
Dido.
said,
That was
across
pretty cool
the board,
too.
you
Yeah,
could
like-
grab anyone from any music genre, and he'd be able to make a jam out of it.
I definitely agree.
So that's incredible. That's a gift.
All right.
Yep.
Any final thoughts?
I love Eminem.
Go get that album, man. Go
I
listen
love,
to it.
I love Eminem.
All right, Bobby, do you have an album for the next time that we get together? It is on your pick.
Oh,
Shot out of a cannon.
I thought we switched it over. I thought you're gonna be.
But he just did his.
I just did mine.
Oh, I thought you were being. No.
No, I'm doing the movie.
Okay, then let's do.
You're up.
Your first one was Dizzy Up the Girl, right?
Yep.
And you did,
Then-
and we kind of shared Blink.
Yeah,
Sure, Blink. But then who did Linkin Park?
He did.
I did.
Okay.
If we're gonna do anything, I want to do.
Shot of Cannon.
No, I know. I'm trying to think of it. Matchbox 20.
Oh hell yeah!
3 a.m.
The one the
What? I forget the album cover.
yeah, the one with 3 a.m.
Yes,
and-
exactly.
It's 3 a.m. with the guy in the hat.
Yes.
Yeah,
Fuck yeah!
that's a
alright.
solid one. So
All right,
3
go
a.m.
Matchbox 20.
coming up. So as we kind of wrap it up, so Barbarino's going on a little nice golf trip. Is a fucking
We'll be in the
bastard.
CA. So all you people on the West Coast, let me know.
Go to Tierra Rehada Golf Course.
We actually are.
Hell
All right.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Tell me how it is. I
will. I'll
can't
send some
wait.
pictures.
Oh
So,
my God. I'm so excited for you.
Ryan and I might record next week. We might not. We'll see what kind of happens there. But
We'll feel it out.
we're gonna do the movie review though. We're gonna save that for when Bobby gets back. We'll also have a special guest, AJ, as we mentioned before. So
I will tease my movie though at the end of the.
yes, we are gonna do that at the end of the Inception. So Inception review coming up. It's gonna be a good one. I definitely came prepared here. So stay tuned. We'll be back in about 35 seconds. Peace. You guys are on your phones, you fucking.
Well, no, I was looking up.
jackasses.
It's Someone Like You. It's the
Yeah, I was,
Matchbox.
looking up the, I
Sorry,
was also looking up the album.
that's the guy with that leather hat. The bigger dude. Yeah.
So which one are we doing?
it's
That's one, yeah.
This one.
It's got
Yourself
it's
or
got 3
Someone
a.m. on
Like
there.
You. That's the name of the album.
That's the name of the album.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's got 3 a.m. on it. That's
Yeah.
the song, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one
From
on there.
96.
1996.
Got
I
Real-
don't fact check shit.
Real world push.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Hey, this is mine. Chill. That was out of the cannon, man.
It's great.
All
You're
right,
welcome, fans.
cut it. Fucking cut
Cut
it.
it.
All right, we're out. Welcome back to the Journeymen Lounge. As we teased right before the break, we are discussing the movie Inception, directed by Christopher Nolan, 2010. Stars, excuse me, Leo DiCaprio. What's the
You got through one of them.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt? I was gonna tell him. I was gonna say Gordon something. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Tom Hardy. Ellen Page at the time, now Elliot Page, Ken Watanabe, and then Dilip Rao.
Tom Berenger.
And Tom Berenger.
Michael Caine for a
and
brief.
and then Cillian Murphy, Michael Caine. So
Of course, Cillian Murphy. Yes.
Yeah.
there's some good
The
guys
cast,
in there.
yeah, solid cast.
So this was my pick. I am just going to put my mic down for a quick second.
Show us your.
yeah,
work.
this is his Charlie. You know,
It's probably won't
It's Always
probably
Sunny
won't show up on the camera
summary.
that well, but fuck it.
So I will be putting a picture of this up, but I went full Beautiful Mind on this. And,
Yeah, you did.
And went crazy
love
on
the
it.
commitment.
Inception's definitely one of my top movies here, so we'll get into it here. I will start it off with a brief synopsis here, so I'm actually going to put this down real quick.
All about safety here. We got to make sure we do things right. We're OSHA compliant, just so for anyone
It's like when Kramer makes the coffee table out of a windshield.
can't see it, he just
You'll sense it's there.
he'll sense it's there.
Okay, so quick synopsis here is that Leo DiCaprio as Dom Cobb is
Hell of a name.
charged actually with murder of his wife. There you go. He ends up going and becoming basically an extractor of sensitive information using dream sharing technology. He is caught in one of his jobs by the guy Saito, which is Ken Watanabe, and he ends up basically giving him an option of, hey, I can clear all of your charges if you complete this task of basically Inception is planting an idea in somebody's mind, which as the entire world in this movie thinks it's impossible. Leo DiCaprio, though, takes on the job, and it's obviously chaos. There's a lot of different layers to this here. But I do want to just kind of start with, as we get into the cast of it all, okay? I do want to start with the cast because I think, I just wrote down just like a couple like quick highlights. So we have Cobb, Leo DiCaprio is like the lead thief. You have Arthur, Joseph Gordon-Levitt I put him as a utility player, basically. He is...
Well, they refer to him as a producer.
Producer, okay. I didn't know that's what his actual title was. But he's supposed to be doing kind of a little bit of everything. He's kind of like the right-hand man.
Yeah, he's like a facilitator.
Facilitator, good call. Ariadne, which is Ellen Page, Elliot Page, whatever. We're going to do that a bunch of times on this podcast.
I'm just going to go with, for me personally, I don't mean any offense. I'm just going to say Ellen Page because at the time she was Ellen Page.
That's fine. We'll do that.
All right.
She's the architect who basically designs the dreams, which I thought, just a quick interjection here, I thought that was kind of an interesting twist already, is that you can have an architect, even though it's like, let's say, my dream, you can have an architect, somebody else, map out what I'm going to be in. Because she's not, as I wrote this down, she's not the dreamer in levels 1, 2, and 3 of the heist.
None of them.
So it's just an odd concept that she can say, hey, I'm the architect, I'm going to design this entire thing, but it's actually your dream.
I have some questions about the whole thing, but we can get into that later.
Okay, so let me finish with this, and then we'll get into. I want to, we'll get into it.
It's a lot.
Ames, which is Tom Hardy, is the forger. Basically, can forge anything, documents, even impersonate people.
He's like an actor, an impersonator. Yeah.
Yeah. Yusuf, which is Dilap Rao. I'm probably butchering that. As the chemist, the one who makes the chemical compounds. Saito as the employer bankroller of the whole thing, who actually goes in with him. Excuse me, just a real quick quote and throw them out if you do. There's not a whole lot of quotes here, but
I had a few.
One great one, though, that Tom Hardy says is like, this isn't a job for tourists, or tourists shouldn't be here, something like that, right? And then, obviously chaos ensues. Fisher, Cillian Murphy as the mark, or the person that they're trying to He's
the inheritor of the big Fortune 500 company.
Mal, who is the deceased wife of Cobb, Leonardo DiCaprio. Spoiler. No, I'm just kidding.
She's a projection in the dreams.
Right. Nash was Lucas Haas. That was the former architect who ratted them out basically in the first job. And then you have Browning, who was Tom Berenger.
Tom Berenger,
yeah. Correct. As the uncle/godfather to Fisher, has also a stake in Fisher Morrow, the conglomerate that basically Saito is trying to break up. That's the whole main mission.
Are you still with us?
Is to break it up.
Right, everyone, connecting the lines.
I don't really care. This is so funny, is that I don't even care if you're still with us at this point, because I love this movie. So.
No, just more about I was just saying because it's just complicated. Does everybody understand it?
Well, this is what I'm saying is that that's just kind of the cast list. Let's just start real quick with your opinions of, could there be somebody that you would either like to see more of, or somebody that was a little bit too prominent?
Oh, you're starting off with this?
I want to start off with this. Yeah, I'm just going to kind of go left to right on the board.
Okay, so I'm sorry, someone I want more of in the movie? Mm-hmm. Well, I mean...
Oh, Michael Caine was also Cobb's father.
I was saying, Michael Caine's barely in the fucking thing.
2 seconds.
Right.
I guess that would be a good place to start, although I guess to play devil's advocate...
More of an... Yeah,
his part's not super important, so I really don't know.
He's an ancillary character.
They'd have to write more of a thing for him to do, or,
He wasn't part of the framework, the core. I get. So mine would be Gordon-Levitt. I'd like to see a little more of him.
That's a good answer. I would say that too, because he's. I mean, he is in it, but he doesn't necessarily do a lot.
Yeah, I think they could have honestly. They should have kind of flip-flopped the dialogue. I love Tom Hardy, but Tom Hardy's quips, I would have much liked to see Joseph Gordon-Levitt as more of a snarky, a quick hitter, but also has a real purpose. To me, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, aside from the level 2, where like that's his dream and he has to go through and like basically blow everything up, is very cinematic. It's crazy. If you haven't seen it, see this goddamn movie. But that's just me personally. I would have liked to have seen him with a couple more quips. Like, just for example, Tom Hardy is like, sometimes you... Oh, fuck. I wish I had the quote right in front of me. But it was like, sometimes you just got to dream a little bit bigger, darling.
Yeah, dream a little bigger, darling.
It's just stuff like that I'm like, I would have liked to seen that come out of like a second... Like, Joseph Gordon-Levitt as the right-hand man.
Would that delivery, though, come through with this character? That's what I'm saying. I'm not certain if the delivery would mark the actual, quote.
I don't want to take away from Tom Hardy because he's honestly the best part of the movie outside of Leo.
Well, this is what I'm saying is that the dialogue, though, is that, like, if Joseph Gordon-Levitt had that dialogue, I think I would have liked Joseph Gordon-Levitt in that role. Because, like, he's in most of the scenes. I would say it's pretty much Cobb and then, Cobb... Ellen Page and then Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Tom Hardy.
I would say just maybe not give him his dialogue, but just give him more dialogue. But not may not hit Tom Hardy specifically.
I think you guys you latched onto that. I'm just saying more dialogue. I think for Joseph Gordon-Levitt would have sold it a little bit more for me. And then somebody who maybe you probably would have seen a little less of. Who
we want less of.
Yeah, less of, but I honestly think it definitely pushed the storyline is that, Marion Cotillard is, like, great when she pops in, but there were a couple other dream sequences where, like, she didn't need to be there. But, like, I get that it kind of pushes the story, and I'm just like, okay, like, I get that she's a crucial part of the story.
You got to pop the clutch to put it into a different gear. I get it.
For this movie, she's really, like, part of the story backbone, like her and Leo's whole relationship and his, the way he functions and the way he has to do business now and the way he views dreams and things. Like, it's very central to the movie, kind of.
Totally get that. I'm just saying a couple scenes of that, I would have liked them to go in a different direction. Maybe a Leo and Tom Hardy scene, a Leo and Joseph Gordon-Levitt scene.
You know what? I think I have a better answer for my other one. I think we could have used maybe another scene with Pete Postlewaite, the guy's father, Cillian Murphy's father, but maybe like a flashback when he was able to talk.
I was trying to rack my head with the person. So yes,
because he's a great actor. And you only see him lying in the bed, dying, which. Actually, he died like 6 months later after this of cancer as well in real life. So that's kind of sad or whatever. But
that's off.
But yeah, I would say him. I would throw him more in it. And
I definitely agree with that.
Less, I don't know. I didn't really care for the chemist guy that much. He's not in it that much, so it's like.
Yeah, he was in it for me about the right amount.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a good answer for that one.
Yeah, to me, honestly, overall, I think the casting and the amount that they were in it was good overall. I just, again. A couple lines here and there, but again, nothing crazy like, oh, this person was terrible. You got to get him out of here.
Yeah.
So, as I do kind of want to move on here, because I think the flaws and the questions and things like that, I think it's going to take up a little bit more.
That could be its whole thing.
Time here.
Yeah.
But I just want to get kind of a breakdown a little bit of the actual heist and when you're. And maybe I kind of overlooked this for people who are like, I don't even know what Inception is. So basically, they are doing this dream sharing technology where they have these chemicals that allow them to put them into basically a vegetative state.
Well, coma,
essentially. I was going to say you skipped the part where the military was developing it for training so they could practice killing and things without actually getting hurt or whatever.
Okay,
putting them in situations, and then they didn't really explain how they got the technology, but it started with the military.
So so that's the impetus of it. That's where it started from. But then obviously Cobb gets into this field with his wife, and that is not really explained either of like why are they doing such extensive research and stuff like that. But neither here nor there. I want to kind of get into, though, again, the layers of the dreams in Inception, and I'm talking about the main heist. I've looked at a bunch of articles and stuff like that online. They technically talk about 5 layers. They talk about reality, level 1, the first dream, second dream, third dream, and then limbo.
Limbo, yeah.
So I kind of agree with that, right? Is that I don't really count reality, though, because that's where the majority of the movie...
If you're counting all those, it makes sense. Yeah.
I get that, but I'm just like, let's just talk about the 4 layers here of level 1, level 2, level 3.
They're on the jet on the way, in the first class, on the way to California from wherever. It's a 10-hour flight. That's when they put everybody down.
Yep, and then they are basically going to a warehouse. This is Yusuf's dream. It's raining in this one. You can always see it. Honestly, Christopher Nolan had said, like, hey, we needed to make sure everything was super distinct. So, like, in the first one, it's raining. The second one, it's clearly a hotel. Third one, it's like a snow fortress.
Like a winter fortress.
And then Limbo is like this kind of apocalyptic kind of style.
It's
of
the world that Leo and Maul created together when they were in Limbo for like 50 years, they said.
Right, and then Limbo also, there's pieces of their subconscious that are left behind. Anybody who's in Limbo, those still remain. But just kind of going through the first level, because I think it's extremely important, like as I was trying to follow, like whose dream is this? Because there's supposed to be certain parameters of like, if it's my dream and you are the subject of it, your subconscious populates that. And when your subconscious populates something, when it's my dream, your subconscious is going to remove like the person who is like
it's going to fight back against the people who aren't supposed to be
the stranger,
there.
The people who you're like, this is not supposed to happen or whatever.
Yeah.
So like that's clearly a revolving theme here is you get to level 1, and this is kind of where I also put up the first flaw here is that Arthur's number 1 job was to go into the background and figure out.
He didn't, yeah. Leo yelled at him for it.
For Cillian Murphy, this is a very high.
He's a rich.
Yeah, he's like a.
They trained him previously in this dream extracting thing, how to defend himself.
But like he's like a high priced like businessman.
Sure.
This is now a new avenue of like what he pays money to get trained in. So like they walk in, they're getting assault rifles shown at them by these subconscious projections.
Saito gets shot.
You know, and stuff like that. So it's a crazy kind of turn right at the beginning that changes their whole plan because they were supposed to have in the first level, they're supposed to have a week, second level 6 months, third level 10 years in the same 10-hour flight.
Yeah.
Did I say? I said 1 week, 6 months, 10 years, right? So you have more time in this dream sequence, in this dream world.
Time dilation. Sorry, that's...
Right.
Yep.
But then everything gets fast-forwarded here because Saito, as you said, he gets shot right away. And there's also the biggest part that comes into this is that Saito... you cannot die in a dream in this heist because they are under a heavy sedation.
Yeah, normally you could to get out of it.
I mean, that's what in this fictitious kind of idea.
In the opening scene with Leo and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, we see that he saves him by shooting him in the head or whatever.
Which is, I mean, again, if you guys have dreams, right? I'm assuming you guys both have dreams sometimes.
Sometimes.
Right?
Sure. Yeah.
So when you die, you wake up right away and go, holy shit, right?
Usually it's before the moment that
like
occurs.
falling off a cliff or something. Or
but
never been shot.
Yeah, I can't say
But I'm just saying,
yeah, I understand.
That's where they get
that's where
that
the brain.
idea.
No, I get it. Where it's like wakes you up before an event should happen. Yeah.
Right. So in this, again, you normally can get shot, whatever. In this, the sedation does not allow you to die in it. You go directly to limbo, which I don't know if you guys caught this here, but basically it's until the sedation wears off. That's how Cobb and Sato,
or until you find your way back or whatever within the limbo, I believe, also, right?
I don't know about that specifically, but all I looked at was that again the fan pages had all said like basically after the sedation wore off that now they could get back, like they're in their like limbo is then basically like the first level of like, okay, you die now, you're back into reality. That's what I read.
Okay, I took it as like that's most that happens, but also if you can find your way out or something. I think sometimes they don't know they're in limbo too. Like, I don't know, like if Saito, when he's an old man in the beginning, I don't know if he realized he's in limbo at that point. I don't think he did.
So he doesn't because he's never been to limbo.
Right.
he has a problem, and this is the general theme, I would say, the through line throughout this whole thing is like, what is reality, what is a dream?
Right.
These characters have their own totem, which is a specific kind of...
It's like an object that you have custom made to you, to your weight or shape or balance that only you know.
So that you can determine, is this reality or is this a dream? Because in a dream world, the totem will act a different way than in reality.
Right,
Like
it'll
Leo,
operate
like,
a little different. It'll be heavier. It'll have
Like
a
Leo has
feel.
the top, and if it keeps spinning, he's in the dream world. If it falls, he's in the real reality.
Correct. So I'm not going to go level by level, but I just kind of think that those points are like, there's like this thing, and I wrote down kind of like the first level is like kidnap Fisher, plot the idea. You're trying to get like, hey, your father has something for you in a safe. They reinforce this by the uncle godfather, which
Tom Hardy impersonates.
Tom
him.
Hardy impersonates. They'll be like, hey, this is what's going on. Level 2, because the plan is thrown into chaos, they actually do just spit all over the mic. They do a thing called Mr. Charles, where they're basically telling the person that they are in a dream, which is a big no-no. You should never do that because
calls attention.
obviously the dream should collapse at that point, but because they're sedated, it doesn't. And then level 3 is basically they are going to a safe, which every person in this kind of fictionalized kind of dream version, your deepest, darkest secrets are kept in a safe. So that's just a general through line here. I'm going to get Bobby involved over here because he's
he's champing at the
he's
bit.
not a whole lot to mention on this because Bobby, admittedly, you would say that this is not one of your favorite movies,
No,
correct?
this isn't. Like I said, I would.
Can you just start with what for you takes you out of it? What don't you like
All right,
about it?
where to begin? Okay, it meets. So this is it's like Matrix meets Freddy Krueger meets Rick and Morty meets Heat meets Nightmare on Elm Street.
Sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah, what do you? I
No.
don't see
So
a problem with that.
the idea is the complexity itself doesn't make it a good movie. It insists upon itself by adding layers, by adding these arching ideas of psychoanalysis, possibly near-death experiences. Call me like all these elements combined to a subconscious level. It's horseshit.
Okay.
It's absolute horseshit. You spent 2.5 hours of a guy trying to, dive deeper and deeper into different levels of your subconscious. I'm sorry. I guess psychoanalysis wouldn't work on me. If I'm in dream world, I'm the same I am right now. So I guess there wouldn't be much of a transition. So I personally cannot attribute any type of feature functionality of what this movie's trying to accomplish because you're getting me 24/7.
Okay, so let me just ask a follow-up question to that. So in your dreams, you don't operate any differently than you do in normal life? You don't have superpowers. You don't. Sometimes you can dunk a basketball.
I'd say some of them go eccentric to that degree, but it's not like, for me, it's not a way of diving into my subconscious to figure out problems. Now that happens naturally. Like I said, you have deja. Okay, I'm just saying everything about this movie insists upon itself, and complexity does not make it creative. It doesn't. Complexity, let me say that again, does not make something creative or genuine.
Okay, I'm absolutely going to go 100% the opposite way because have you seen a movie that it not only just goes into dreams and a little bit, this is fully centered around
This is
dreams.
like applied
but you can't call it
mathematics.
You can't call it
and then
you can't call this a not creative movie. This is a very
I think it
creative
borrows against a lot of other ideas that existed.
Of movies?
And
what other movies has a dream?
Well, I don't think it.
Dream. I'm talking about the concept
So
of
hold
a
on,
dream.
in Matrix, he goes under to learn a skill that they implant in there.
Sure, it could be influenced by the Matrix somewhat.
Okay.
So no,
I
and
would
then
say-
Rick and Morty in the sense of like the nonsenseness
this is up
of
for Rick and Morty.
I'm going into a deeper layer of a layer beyond the layer. It's just it's too much. It's too much. You're trying to drill down a theoretical state in order to come to a conclusion or come to some type of finite point, and it's
okay.
And even at the ending's ambiguous. So you're basically there for all play, no reward.
Don't skip to the ending because we gotta.
I was gonna say
we gotta go.
Okay, no, but there
we gotta
it
go
is.
in order with that.
2.5 hours of wasted time. Weird theories.
I wanted to get your opinion, and you have been heard.
Are you getting our opinion on the things we don't like about the movie, or just his opinion?
I'm gonna go through.
Feel
the
free
flaws.
to add on.
I'm gonna go through the flaws in a second here.
Okay.
The only other couple things I wanted to get to that because I think again, things of flaws and questions and things like that. There are going to be a lot of these, right? Nothing is completely explained in this, but let me just go over again just the one part that I know, Bobby. You already know that I know that you agree upon. It is visually stunning.
Okay, the scores, the cinematography, visually stunning, absolutely, and the character cast, a lot of the CGI, the effects, otherworldly, blows my mind, and I think that in itself deserves recognition. I'm not taking away from the value there, but the whole concept, the whole storyline.
We already heard what you said.
Oh
about
my
that.
goodness,
That's fine. You don't need to repeat it. No, I just
it's
wanted
like
to
a horrible
mention,
taco dip, man.
I
There's
just
too many
wanted to-
layers of bullshit.
Just
All right.
wanted to mention though that again in this movie 2010 that it came out, I think visually stunning things that I definitely have never seen where they kind of slow mode things and then
Like
blew
Heat.
them up.
I mentioned
and-
that.
No, not. No, this
it's
is
been
not
done.
like. No, this is not like Heat in that they slow things down and then they blow them up, but blow them up in slow motion when they're talking in the cafe. Like that type of stuff has not been done on this scale.
Like
of
Mission Impossible,
No.
like when they had to blow up the fish tank. Yeah. Well, okay, but go ahead.
Hold on. Did you see the movie, dude? Like
Yes.
for real.
I have
In the
seen-
cafe scene, they are talking. The dream is collapsing. Things are blowing up, but blowing up in slow motion. That's
Yep.
all that I'm talking about.
And in Mission Impossible in 1996, which was 16 years before this, they're also at a cafe where he threw an explosive to a glass window of an aquarium, and everything blew up nice and slow motion. It was really cool.
It's different.
No, it's not.
It is.
So
I
they're
literally
borrowing.
am talking about two completely different.
I know,
things,
but
dude.
they're borrowing against a
no,
lot of the.
They
oh my
aren't.
God.
What are you smoking,
They're-
man?
They're
What?
They're
I'm
foster.
talking-
They're a foster parent of a lot of creative ideas. That's all this movie is.
No, it's
Oh,
not.
they did
That
this
is-
great. God, we're gonna
That is
incorporate that. in.
absolutely asinine.
Oh my
Moving
God.
on. Jesus Christ.
They've adopted. They weren't the originators.
Okay, here we go. Moving
Thank
on
you.
to the sound. I'm not agreeing with you at all.
I'm glad.
All of our 62 subscribers out there are going, this guy has.
Oh, we got another one. All right,
there
let's
we go. Thanks, 63. But, dude, it's fine. I'm not, because honestly, we'll take another 4 hours because I'll just be disagreeing with you.
You wanted to hear the truth.
It's not the truth. It's your
wanted to-
opinion. It's your opinion.
Fine.
Okay, so soundtrack. Here we go. And I
Know
just
that they
yelled for the
hated
last
me
2
first.
minutes. Soundtrack. I definitely just have to admit, like, I like the through line theme
We
of
just
like
have the Hans Zimmer score. Basically.
Hans Zimmer score. They don't
The suspense
use.
in it's really nice. I
They
like
don't
that.
use though any like known songs like by artists.
Well, there's the one that they play to trigger when it's time to do the
right,
kick.
which
Right,
is like
right.
That's
yes.
the only one. That's
yes,
the
it
only
is a
one.
known song, but for the
there's-
most part,
it's more instrumental. than
it's just an
everything.
orchestra.
It's like a classical, like French something.
Like John Williams
Yeah.
and all, is a 1,000-piece orchestra doing some of these. So that
Right.
I have a lot of respect for that. That takes a lot of skill and talent to develop a theme, a feeling in music that accompanies, the visual part of it. So
Yeah, and I just like though the fact that like in other scenes, and this is what they do in movies a lot of times, is that they will have the main theme, but then they'll do kind of a subtle version of it or something like that in other scenes. Like when he's explaining kind of the part about Maul initially to Ariande, you hear like a little bit of the time. That's the name of the final track. Is like it's just a little hinting at it, and then the final scene is where it kind of all comes together, and you're like, okay, now you finally got the whole picture. But Ryan, what are your thoughts on the soundtrack?
Great score. I mean, I'm gonna call it a score, not a soundtrack, because
It is
it's just
score,
a
yeah.
different. Yeah, soundtrack would be more of like real
Tracks and-
like tracks and things. Is more of but the score is fantastic.
I don't know movie terminology, so
Well, I said it's different. Soundtrack would be like all the songs in The Wedding Singer they play, like
Right,
Holiday.
I agree.
a
with that.
score is more of an
Score is like-
instrumental,
yeah.
boom, for
Yeah,
suspense.
like
that's
like
a
that
score.
goes in the background of.
Okay,
of
I
things.
got you.
Fantastic. Hans Zimmer, one of the best at making scores,
I agree.
especially when he teams up with Christopher Nolan. Obviously, with The Dark Knight, Dark Knight Rises.
This was his first movie
This-
after the Dark Knight.
right, and you can see
movies.
and I think also that is what made this movie such a huge thing too. So after the Dark Knight, everybody was so high on it. It's like we want to see what this guy's doing.
That's a lot of pressure on it.
And what?
A lot of pressure.
And it delivered. It did well in the movie theater. It looked fantastic. I think definitely like seeing this the first time is one of those movies where it's like holy shit, like you're blown away by the sounds, the looks.
I think the right mental state going into this too helps.
The plot isn't as important or understanding it the first time. I feel like when you see it, It's more like when you rewatch things and you're trying to understand things, but the first time I feel like it's more of like trying to just take everything in.
Well,
Okay.
I definitely will tell you that like the first time that I watched this recently, I've obviously seen it.
Yeah, it's been over I think like 5 years for me at least.
But no, I'm even talking about like the first time that I saw it in the theater. I was just
yeah.
like, absolutely, as
Yeah,
you're
you get
saying, like
blown away.
you're blown away by just like oh my god, the visual,
when the buildings are
the
coming
score.
up, and when she does the whole thing with the bridge and the stairs.
And they actually they did that recently in the Marvel
Doctor
one.
Strange.
Doctor Strange.
They definitely took over.
They took a huge page from
for sure.
So that was pretty cool.
That was in my notes too.
But yeah, there
Thank you.
is that part of it. Initially, you definitely are focusing more on that. This time that I watched it the first time, I was actually really trying to figure out. Obviously, we're trying to do a movie review, but I was really kind of getting down to the nitty gritty of, okay, where are we at? Whose dream are we in? Okay, what's the background? Like, I didn't even really pick it up that the first time. Like, that's why they're doing the heist here because Saito caught them. I thought that they were like, oh, we did this, we got paid out of this, and then Saito tracks them down and is like, oh,
it's not because he caught them. He gave them an option. He just said, if you want to see your kids again, if you don't, I think I have the quote actually. He said, so do you want to take a leap of faith or become an old man wanting to die alone or waiting to die alone?
You want to take a leap of faith or become an old man filled with regret, waiting to die alone.
Right? Yeah. So Leo chose to do it because he wants to see his kids so desperately because he's barred from the country for.
All right, perfect segue. Thank you for doing that. So
Sure.
I'm going to go to flaws and cues. Okay, so these are things that I kind of mentioned that I was like, this is kind of weird. Like this is like a basic thing that I was like, why didn't this happen? And then also questions of like, again, as I stated before, some of these things just weren't fully fleshed out in the movie. They weren't specifically explained, so that leaves the audience to kind of figure out like, okay, what goes on from here. On your point about the desperation, in any movie that I've ever seen, you never trust a desperate man. A guy who will go to the end of Earth to do whatever.
So you're saying you shouldn't trust Leo?
In this movie,
You could trust a desperate man to do your bidding because
no.
He's
But
got
I'm saying
an
in this
option.
movie, obviously it has a happier ending. Everybody makes it out alive. But I could have easily seen this turn where somebody dies.
No. Are you saying that Saito shouldn't trust Cobb or Cobb shouldn't trust Saito?
See that? No. You're taking it too much character literally.
Okay.
I'm talking you as a person. If you're like, if I'm gonna be implanted into the movie, I'm not trusting a desperate man. A man like that like Arthur knows his backstory and why he's not able to go back to.
You're talking about Cobb. Yeah.
That's why I'm saying you should never trust a desperate man. Cobb is a desperate man in this movie.
He's the best in the business at doing the dream sharing thing, and he's also the only one who would even attempt Inception because he's the only one who's ever done it before.
That flaw to me, I'm just letting you know my mindset is like, I'm just thinking of like, well, if I was in the shoes of Arthur and Cobb was like, all right, well, we're going to do this, I would have been like, all right, man, see ya. Like, you are clearly trying to do this. It's
right.
Like,
okay.
he already has skepticisms about it, saying it's not possible.
Well, he's his best friend, I guess. I don't know. He's his boy.
Okay. So, again, start with some flaws. Throw out some flaws.
Well, I would just say the flaw of the movie, a lot of it is just like kind of the way that this dream sharing thing works and how some people can do things and sometimes people can't do things. Like Tom Hardy in the level 1, all of a sudden he gets the bazooka. Did he dream that up? I thought they were in the other guy, like the other guy's dream. So
let me explain it as far as I know this.
You know what I'm saying? Well, do you understand that part?
I do. I'm going to explain it as what I think is the explanation of it. Is that the dreamer is whoever you're going into their dream, okay? Which is, it's an odd concept because the architect is the one that's actually putting you. You're just the person who is the dreamer, but like we're creating the actual field around it.
I don't get how that works either. Also.
Doesn't make sense. I will agree.
The
with
architect thing. I mean, the part about designing it makes sense, but how they implement it in the other guy's brain, I don't get that part.
The all of the other subjects, so that's just anybody not the dreamer, has full ability to think up other things because they are technically also dreaming.
Okay, they never said that.
It's again, this is my explanation for it, is that you can think up anything of it, but I think there is a crucial part of like, you have to be a professional at it. You have to know what's going on. You have to be able to
I think
accurately.
I call this the Disney engineering of it. You need to know how it looks, how it feels, touch. You need to know every degree of whatever you're trying to bring into into focus.
But not the inner workings.
But at least on the surface level. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You should be able to, with detail, know this object, whatever the case may be, and bring it in 100%.
Right.
Through.
So I agree with that. Is that like a professional, a guy who's been in a million hours of dreaming, probably has the ability to bring up as compared to Ariande, who's been doing it for a couple months. Like, I don't think she would be able to pull out a Glock and be like, "What's up?" Like,
right, no,
she's not going to think of
the
that.
concept and the pull through wouldn't be
I think there's a lot of thought that goes into it. But also, just keep in mind with these questions, these flaws, these things like this, there is a hefty. What was that? That's a commercial, right? Hefty.
The hefty band.
Sponsor us.
There is a large weight, though, on you have to accept dream logic in this.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
if you don't go into it with dream logic, you will never understand the movie or like it, because you'll always be questioning, why the fuck is that? What is it?
yeah, I mean,
so you got to be open to that experience and open to that. Like, I get it. Yeah.
I definitely think the whole thing with the movie is like double-edged, where it's like, it's very ominous or ambiguous in some things, but it also works to the favor of the movie, where you're kind of like intrigued by the mystery of things. So it's like a give and take.
Yeah, I think which honestly, I mean, we've all seen enough movies at this point, though, and I think just a generalization is that if you go into a movie, any movie, whether it's fictional or nonfiction, and you go in with a real life, like, well, that would never happen, you're never going to enjoy the movie.
I don't like watching movies with those types, to be honest. Just fucking enjoy the movie and try to dive in. Yeah.
I just think it'd been nice, maybe. Like, they kind of had a couple of scenes where they were explaining how things work a little bit, but maybe
like
just
the
like
military part.
But maybe just be like, hey, when you're in the dream, you can come up with anything. Anybody
Yeah,
can,
it would have been a 30-second.
Like one line, like just if you can dream it, you can do
All
it.
right, shout out of the cannon, just yes, no. Would this have been better performed in a miniseries rather than one movie? So a miniseries of maybe 8 shows that make up, and that's it. Only one season.
I would say yes. I mean, I think most things are, though. I would say
would you feel that it would lose more of its impact? So I guess yes or no, but think about it. If you stretch something over 8...
I think the good thing is you can get into more things. You can explain more things.
Right,
you can get more detailed. You can go into background more of Maul and Cobb and everything.
So yours is yes. You think that...
I would also say so, but I think it's also, again, just more things of like, you have the ability to really take time to explain things, gives you a better understanding of the whole world. That's again, I would say, just a general flaw with this is like they're explaining this time period from this date to this date. They're transporting back, and you have to really take it as it is. You have to say, okay, this is what we got. Yeah.
You're going off of the context.
I mean, they have a lot to try and get through it in 2.5 hours.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Like,
they're really compartmentalizing a lot of stuff.
As much as it'd be nice to have other scenes, it's kind of hard to do that without making the movie so long.
No, but I agree. A couple of scenes here and there would have explained some of these things about, again, how does it get a giant...
I had a couple of picky nits that I wanted to get through.
Well, keep going as a fuzz. I'm going to throw them out.
How does Cillian Murphy's character not know who Saito is? They're competing businesses and huge multi-billion-dollar corporations. He's never seen a picture of Saito. He doesn't know who he is.
So this is what was said kind of in the forums and stuff like that, is that...
you know what I'm saying?
When Saito conceals... okay, go ahead.
So as they're on the plane, and as you see these people or you walk by, and then you end up falling asleep, oftentimes, and this happens with me in my dreams, is that like oftentimes somebody that I saw or I talked to that day, they end up popping into a dream randomly. They explain it kind of that. It's not really a great explanation.
They're an NPC.
I'm saying more of like, I feel like Saito is probably a well-known person in the entire world. He's a billionaire, multi-billionaire. He's like Elon Musk or some shit. Everyone knows who he is. Everyone knows what he looks like. How do people not know? Like him going on the mission probably honestly would have like ruined things because he would have.
Okay, but Howard Hughes, he was super rich and he lived a very secluded lifestyle. So say that,
but this movie takes place in 2010.
I know, but
1960.
Understandably, but being super rich doesn't preclude you to being a big public figure.
I also think though that with some of these things, you're just not going to get an answer. No, I think that's a thing that they're just like, I don't know.
Wouldn't you think that? Cillian Murphy's character knows his competition, the main company that he stands to throw out of whatever, like that he would take down by doing whatever he's doing with the company. Like he knows who his competition is. He knows who these guys are. It's not like a secret or something.
Right. So this is what I would just say in response to that is that in the first level, to me, if your competitor you're dreaming that your competitor, because he does pull a
Like,
gun on him.
Steve Jobs knows who Bill Gates is, and vice
Right,
versa.
I understand that, but he at least pulls a gun on him, so he is kind of giving an enemy. In the later levels, you're absolutely right. Doesn't make sense.
But
He's buddies with
I know what you're saying, but that scene was more about he didn't know who he was. He just knew that he had a gun on him, and these guys were kidnapping him. He didn't. It wasn't like because it was Saito. It was because
Right.
Tom Hardy and whoever, they all pulled guns on him. The guy got in the car with them, and they kidnapped him. And then I don't know if I had one more. I can't remember now. Go ahead.
Okay, so I already mentioned it though that like Arthur's number one job, like that was a huge crucial point of the movie, is that like how do you not do this background? I feel like it's not the toughest thing. Like, yes, this is a billionaire. Fisher is a billionaire, but like,
no, it's your job. Yeah.
I feel like it is your job. They got Tom Hardy in the courtroom or like in the meeting room.
Ooh, that was my one. Okay, how did he get in that meeting room?
Forged documents.
But what is he? How did he just sitting in the room with the uncle?
Yeah, he's like an intern or something like that.
Oh,
Applied
okay.
for
Well,
a
they didn't
job.
really say that.
They don't explain the timeline very well in that, so it could have been like a month.
And also
or
just
a couple
with
weeks,
the
I
whole
don't know.
thing with how does that impersonating thing work? Like, is he such a great like? I don't
Like
know.
Mission Impossible, where
Well,
you
they have
So-
masks and shit.
So
and-
this is what is weird about it, is that I feel like it's solely
like a
based
borrowed
off of
idea?
a mirror. Like in a mirror, he shows as his person.
like all he did was like do the glasses thing, and he's like, "I'm him."
I think that it's again, it's another thing that's not really explained well. But again, they just kind of made it as like, hey, here's a mirror, and then Tom Hardy's also able to kind of like turn it on and off.
I think it would have helped if they had a scene of showing Tom Hardy. Maybe you dub Behringer's voice over him, and him being Tom Berenger. Oh shit, he's Tom Berenger. And then they flash back to the other mirror, and then he actually is Tom Berenger. I think that would have worked better.
Yeah, again, these little couple
So little things,
explanation
little
scenes
things.
for sure. All right, so I still got a bunch of these that I'm gonna.
I feel like he was in the writing room. He's taking all this very personal.
But there are these things though that again, I do want to kind of. I'm gonna explain the ending part real quick here, just so that what I'm gonna go into makes sense.
Peons can understand.
But then I do want to kind of take it back because we're not ending it just yet.
The ending's awesome.
So basically, the ending comes
that-
about is that as we go through this entire thing, Maul, his deceased
Soprano
wife,
ending.
his deceased wife continues. No, that's not what I'm talking about. But the deceased wife continues to come up in any time that Leo Cobb is dreaming. Right, so she's always popping up, and also these other memories that he also has shared, which I have a whole list over
The
there
two
about.
kids facing the other way.
Two kids. They have the
His
broken
kids.
glass. There's all these things that pop up here, and as you go through the story, you find out that the reason that Maul is deceased is because Inception is possible because Leo did it to his wife. He made
Well,
the idea that they were in limbo for a long time because they were
They
again,
were in limbo.
these-
They were in limbo. Yeah.
they were in limbo. They were these again doing these experiments in limbo for a long time.
For decades. he
They
said.
ended up spending, which only is a few hours, but in limbo,
So
it
like
was
50 years.
50
or something.
years.
Yeah.
and eventually he was like trying to convince her, like, "Hey, we have to get out of here." She was not. She was so convinced. I'm sorry. They said that she had this idea
She
locked
had-
away.
yeah, she
that
had
the reality is not here, not in limbo. But what Leo did was he went into her again, safe into her deepest, darkest secret or truth.
He incepted her.
And basically told her that this is not real. Limbo is not real, and the only way to get out is to die.
Right.
And so by doing that, when they finally came out of it, they stood on the train tracks, and they came out of this. She was not convinced. She was always believing that this reality is not real. We have to die so that we can go. So that being said, okay, that's what I'm just kind of explaining as the very last kind of hurrah.
Well, then they have the hotel room thing where she kills herself.
She kills herself.
She
makes
throws
it-
herself off the building and left a note with her lawyer saying that Leo threatened her or whatever.
Basically making sure that Leo would be at least alleged the
He would
murderer.
have no kids to go back to.
The kids would be taken away from him, and so she jumps out of a hotel window.
Hoping to make him jump as well.
Right, so that they would die at the same time and go back to their reality,
Yes.
quote unquote. So, couple of flaws that I have with that is just simply that the Cobb is supposed to be this expert extractor, right?
Uh-huh.
Yet he can't keep these thoughts, these dreams, these memories that you later find out they are memories that he's recreated. Why can't he keep those out? If you have done so like millions of hours in this,
Human condition.
Yeah, I think that's just unpredictable, your feelings and then plus when you're dealing with the brain where all those things are, emotions and memories and probably just I guess you just can't control it when you're under or I don't know.
Okay, so let me pose this question to you though. I believe that Cobb actually did end up killing his wife. Like even though he was convicted, like he wasn't convicted of it, he was alleged of it. But like obviously you're not going to be able to go through a court of law.
Oh, you're saying by putting that
like he did eventually lead to her death, right?
Subconscious gaslighting.
Well, he said it.
There
he said
it is.
it. Yeah.
Okay, but like that's where it's like again this whole like idea though of like why Mal whatever the fuck why she is
Maul.
but why she is so prevalent though is based on his guilt. The guilt of the fact that
he can't forget and he misses his kids and
right.
his wife. And
so that's the point that they made is that like guilt in the dream world amplifies things so that you obviously. So again, that I actually kind of answered my own flaw with that. I'm a genius there. Quick shot of the cannon here. What do you think is the money that they make from this? Because like they're flying on private jets and doing this, and they had a helicopter on the roof.
Saito's got a guy who can get you off of fucking the wanted list, so I don't know. He's making tons of money.
I mean, what do you think? Just like throw out a guess. Like 10 mil?
What are they making per job? Like as a
like
crew?
for the heist.
As a crew or per person?
Per person.
Man, I don't know. Got to be what, like at least like 5-10 mil? I don't know.
Yeah, I would say.
I mean, he can afford
collectively with the team, maybe even higher than that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they get paid like.
But is it on the job?
Yeah, or something? I don't know. Like, Leo did. Remember too. Leo gave his whole share to the chemist because he wanted him to put him under.
Right. So it's got to be in the mills, right?
It's got to be.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
To take that
life changing. Let's just put it
to take that type of risk and stuff.
Okay. Again, I just got a couple more quick ones. Saito's is billionaire or whatever, but like. He just erases Cobb's like
I know, yeah.
Like
somehow
he's wanted for murder. Yeah. He's also like he left the country. He escaped. Yeah. Like you're going to jail for life. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah,
it's like
it's definitely a picking name.
That's a little one.
Also, why doesn't Leo just bring his kids to France? He was already there to visit Michael Caine. Yeah, I know they have extradition. He said, but he said it's like a tough process. Why don't you just live?
No, you're absolutely right.
Why don't you just go to like wherever, like anywhere where there's an extradition?
Yeah, could have been
go
to
Cuba,
easy
go
fix
to
there.
Whatever.
Okay, I got two more here. It's really shitty to bring somebody into this world that I kind of realize is that like Ariadne, she ends up coming back. Like he knew that she was going to come back because reality is no longer.
Yeah.
Doesn't this eventually turn into psychosis? Think about it, because
this is like crack.
I think about it like a rope, if you will. You have many strands that make up a rope. It's twisted. Each time you start messing, you're pulling like a blade across it, and then eventually you get through that rope. There is a loss of what is reality, and my interpretation of the ending. He's still in limbo.
Okay,
seems like it.
You're jumping.
I'm jumping the gun, but I'm just saying I'm trying to put an actual, I guess, tangible thing to better understand. As you keep going into it, you keep immersing yourself. The blurred lines between actual and this it becomes.
I just think that it seems to me that like everybody that gets involved with the dream stuff is like hooked on like heroin. Like you can't.
So it's a drug like.
And it's
type of
really
feeling.
weird for them to be like, oh, hey, I need this college student to come in.
It's like they said when Ellen Page started doing that. She's like, she'll be back. You'll never find anything like this that'll compete with this feeling.
Okay.
I like that connection. That's a good connection.
The last real shitty thing that I have is, what the fuck is up with the shooting in this? They shoot the van like 400 times. Nobody gets clipped in that? Come on.
It's a dream. You have to just dive into the reality.
No, but like everybody's head is like bouncing around, and the guy gets a shotgun to like the driver's side door, and he was like, "Oh no!"
How about when the car flips? They didn't wake up. They're under heavy sedation. I guess that's the whole thing. But.
Car flips, lands perfectly on its side, and he goes, "Yeah!"
And they're getting wet. They're getting water in their face, and
the water actually, I like that they did that
is pretty cool.
to do that. The slow mo of those scene was great. Okay. Flaws are over. Questions are over. I want to talk real quick here. Sorry about the Cobb memory prison.
Cobb
in the elevator that he's compartmentalized all these memories here.
The different floors of his brain. You mean
the different floors of this? And I'm like, I don't understand that he's like this is like exactly what you don't want to do, and he's done it. And they say that in there's like you'll find that Cobb breaks a lot of his own, or he keeps saying that or whatever. It's like I just don't get that. Like that part of it is like it to me. That's him continually, and he also says in that he's like, I want to make these, I want to make these right, but they're memories. Like you can't make a memory right. You fucked up, or something fucked up. Then it's over. So he's just
I know, but he's
reliving
trying
the
to create
pain.
that, like he's trying to put together a puzzle that the pieces don't exist. So he's trying to, basically craft them and drop them in. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm gonna cut you off. Go ahead.
No, it's a better, I guess come to grips with the, his reality, which is, 20 layers deep.
I think you're absolutely right. It's a coping mechanism for like, hey, I've lost my wife, my kids are back there, I can't go home, and you're holding on to it. But I also think that by doing that, you're jeopardizing the mission one, which ends up happening.
Well, he knows it.
And then on top of that, though, you're also, I think, if he would have got rid of that, he would have let go of Maul. Then there wouldn't have been any issues with that. Yes, it would have been. It's a very difficult thing, I would assume, to try and get rid of. But
they say that he can't. They say, why don't you just do? He's like, I can't let her go. What if she's real? Or if she's, he doesn't.
Well, yeah, he has a tough time gripping reality.
He can't.
Can we at least address the parallels between this and Shutter Island? Because I liked Shutter Island. I think Revenant's worse than Inception. So Revenant? I guess for Leo movies, these two are definitely bottom of the barrel for me. But the whole concept, or there's a lot of different parallels between this and Shutter Island.
Well, yeah, Shutter Island
we don't have to dive into that, but you could definitely put a lot of the different, accolades from A to B.
Yeah, it's all about what's real, what's not, what's reality, what's not.
And coming to grips.
Is it in your head? Is it not in your head?
I also think, though, that they're the same way is that there's a huge twist at the end of like, shit.
Yeah, Shutter Island's got a twist ending, whereas this is more of an ambiguous ending.
Right.
Well, okay, so I meant the twist in that why he knows that Inception is real is because he did it. You kind of started to get the pieces, the crumbs along the way, but then that.
I was saying Shutter Island is the twist. That's what I was.
But I'm saying the twist in this movie, though, is the fact that, hey, the wife, I literally, again, through a means, I killed my wife. I planted idea that she needs to kill herself. And then whatever. So, finally, okay, I know we're doing a long-winded version of this again.
Cool. I like it, though. You're really passionate about this.
I do really love this.
We're not in a
movie.
hurry. It's okay.
So, as Bobby, you were talking about the ending of the movie. The final scene of the movie is the top spinning, starts to waver a little bit at the end.
You're skipping ahead.
What do you mean he's skipping ahead?
He's skipping. He was in limbo. He found old man Saito. Then they wake up on the jet. He's surprised to be up. He doesn't realize it, and they're like seeing him. And then he thinks he goes back to the United States, and everything's okay. And he goes back to his home and sees his kids finally. And they turn around. He sees their faces.
Right. I did mention it apart, like, it was a happy ending overall.
And then before he spun the top when he came in the house.
Right.
Cuts away when he goes to see his kids.
Sees his kids. I get. You're absolutely right, Ryan. There is
I'm a little more thorough.
A
Sorry.
couple other things there that happen. I just simply say in general, it was a happy ending. Nobody died. From there, group. He got back into the United States.
It might be a happy ending. We don't know.
So let's have a quick 2-minute discussion. Because you guys are wrong if you think that this has an ambiguous ending.
It is
100% ambiguous ending.
That's
why I said Tony Soprano.
No, absolutely not, and I'll explain to you why. You go ahead why, and I'll explain why you're wrong.
All right, I want to touch on two things.
Go ahead.
One, it's ambiguous in both this and The Sopranos, and it works for both things.
Yes.
Hey, we're not talking about The Sopranos.
I'm just saying.
Let him have 2 minutes.
He brought it up.
No, we're not each getting 2 minutes.
I'm not going to spoil it. I'm just saying you don't know what happens, but it makes you talk about it. It makes you talk about the movie, which is a good thing. I mean, it sucks kind of in the moment maybe, but when you rewatch it, it lends to rewatchability more. It's like The Thing. You don't know.
I think what Woj hasn't quite grasped is perception and perspective. Those are two separate things. That's why this is super ambiguous because
the top's just spinning and you don't know.
No. I'm going to explain to you.
Because of his perspective on this, whereas the perception and all the context clues that surround it makes it very
okay, what context clues?
I was going to say, I think that whole thing, too, is part of the ending is he wants you to not know. That's the whole
idea. Right, no, and I get it.
That's the whole idea.
That's a movie.
Well, I'm saying that's the whole idea.
I get the movie aspect of it. But what are you? Please tell me what are the
Your perspective.
clues? No. What are the clues? Because you said there are clues.
that leave it ambiguous because nothing is truly
You never see the top fall.
No, nothing is truly established. Everything is still subject to interpretation.
Okay,
There's
fair
nothing
point, fair
there's
point.
nothing concrete about the ending that would lead me to believe A. Absolutely A. No other letter could exist.
Okay.
No. So that's which is cool. Like I like that because it gets you talking. It gets you kind of going through the different
Laundry's done.
ideas, different scenes. So that's cool. Like you said, it gets you talking.
Mm-hmm.
But to say that you could put a pinpoint on this last one, good luck.
I mean,
man.
Absolutely.
He could.
Okay, no, I wanna hear this.
He's a master architect himself. He only got Ellen
He's
Page.
buried in his own lies that he created for himself.
I'm saying he could hide this shit from
Exactly.
his own
He's-
mind.
Exactly. He's creating a barrier and he's putting it through rose-colored glass.
He's probably the greatest architect that we know of, even better than Ellen Page. Like he just couldn't
He's
do it.
doing a mental
'cause of
gymnastics
because of the whole
his
thing with Maul.
guilt and of
But I
grief.
don't get what you're saying. What is him having the
He could create this illusion in his own mind of that.
Yes.
That they woke up.
Okay.
He woke up.
Yep.
He made it home. He saw
mental
his kids.
gymnastics.
Okay,
Go ahead.
okay.
Yep.
Also, we never see him interact with the kids. We see the kids' faces,
Right.
but we don't see them together or
for,
anything. It cuts
for
away.
For that point,
Simulation.
I absolutely agree that becomes ambiguous. Okay, the reason why I say that it is not ambiguous and
Here we
that
go.
they definitely, not definitely.
Please,
okay?
I would love to hear it.
but
Pray tell.
but whenever you see the top spinning, okay, in the
Yes.
movie, the top is so it's weighted so specifically. It's like made out of silver or something like that. It's like a heavy metal, right? And so whenever it spins, it has a very short type of like span of spinning. Like whenever he spins it in reality, and I think it's like right after
That's why he's in limbo still, because it just keeps going.
buddy.
Let him finish his thought.
Thanks for proving my point.
No, it's all right. Let him
So
finish his
when
thought.
he's spinning it in reality, what we're perceived to say, but in reality, in
Yes.
this case, it has a shorter span of time that it goes before it eventually topples over.
Yes.
Whenever you see the top spinning in a dream sequence, the top is in perfect rotation. You always see it, even as soon as they spin it on the table, it is absolutely equally going around.
You don't think it was like that at the end?
At the end, you see the very last frame of it, it starts to wobble like this. All I'm saying is that with that, the difference between when he spun it in dream, in the throwback to when he sets the idea, when he sets the idea in a dream sequence, it is perfectly spinning, absolutely on the line. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But when he does this, you start to see I just say look at the last 10 seconds of the film and tell me the top isn't starting to
No, it
topple
does.
over.
It starts to wobble, but him being a master architect, I could create a scenario that exactly
Again,
does that.
until you guys said that, I did not, even think of that. So I will give you a prop on that, Ryan, not you, but I will
hate.
I will give you that. Okay.
Okay.
So as we're gonna wrap it up here,
Yep.
okay.
I just want to say I think it's debatable it was wobbling. I think it was going pretty strong the whole time.
Nope. Watch the last 10 seconds. You'll
I've
be
watched it many times.
Watch the last
So
10
this is a perception and perspective.
Watch
so
the
go
last
ahead.
10 seconds. You're still. I don't think you're using those words correctly,
am.
but we don't have time to go.
That's
into that.
okay.
So, Bobby, we'll start with you. What is your grade of the film, and then stream it, rent it, own it. Just for those who are watching, though,
It's on
right now
Apple.
it's on like Apple Plus,
It was on Hulu. They just took it off.
Hulu. Yeah, just took it off, but Amazon is $4 and YouTube TV.
You
or
know
something
what?
like that.
Go out and buy the Blu-ray. Support physical media. It's a good Blu-ray to have.
All
I'd
right, go
say,
ahead.
If anything, stream it if it's on TV and
Grade
you get-
first.
and you got some time to kill. Like if you're in a waiting room at a doctor's, waiting room, sure, knock it out.
Complicated movie to get
Grade-
into at the doctor's
Oh,
office.
6.3.
Whoa! All right.
I'm surprised it was above 5.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, a lot of other elements were really
This
cool.
movie is like my Space
Your
Odyssey for
Unicorn?
Bobby.
Oh,
This is Bobby's Space Odyssey, right?
Yeah, no, agreed. Yeah, I get
For
it.
the fans who know.
But like I
That's
said, there was a
great
lot of
reference.
cool elements to this, so I can't
It's not
kick
gonna
it.
stay
I
out.
can't
It's
kick
just
it, while it's down. Go ahead.
All right, Ryan, what do you got? Grade and then stream it, rent it, own
I
it.
gave it an 8.7. So I would say it's like a high B plus or a low A minus. I own it. I would own it. It's one of Christopher Nolan's better movies, especially outside of the Batman universe. Arguably, probably his best movie outside of that. One of his most visually stunning movies. If you've never seen it, it's definitely worth a watch, especially the first time. There's a lot to take in. See it on the big screen if you can. If you have like a huge
Oh
TV,
yeah, if you get
for
IMAX,
sure.
it go for it. That was really cool.
It's one of those movies where it's like a very interesting and unique theater experience, like a movie you wouldn't, like you don't see every day, like.
Right. Yeah. Not run of mill. Whatever.
It was like, oh shit, this rocked my world.
For sure. So I am gonna throw out a 9.6. I think that there's a couple of like, I call them quote unquote like movie flaws where you just kind of like, these are things that happens in the movies, like the shooting of the enemies are unfortunately never accurate. And I'm just like, well, again,
the
like,
plot?
either make it so like they're not using automatic weapons or something like that, or like change that up.
Yeah.
But those things aside, this is one of those movies that in my time, because 2010, I was just graduating high school, going into college, and this is a movie that came out where I was just like, holy shit, like I was so deeply involved in the movie of like, holy shit, like I haven't seen a movie about like dream sequences that go to this depth of like, hey, we're going within a dream, like that part to me really got me hooked on it. Again, there are a couple things that could have, obviously improved upon, but for a movie that's now 14 years old, it's still a movie that I enjoy thoroughly. So again, 9.6. I will also say that I do own it. It was just easier to stream because unfortunately I just didn't have the time to like walk through my movies, my DVDs, and actually grab it out. But either way, again, I said it from the beginning. I knew that this was going to be a hit or miss for one of you two, and I was right. Bobby, I mean, you have your thoughts, and we'll leave it at that. So. Before we get out of here, again, we're gonna have the tease of the movie. But again, this will not happen until the next 2 weeks from now. Ryan and I may do a little Ryan and Woj episode in between that, but remains to be seen here. So Ryan, hit me with the next one. What are we gonna do?
This is a tough choice. I went with comedy last time. I've been alternating. I'm gonna go with a more serious movie, also an action movie, a sci-fi movie, movie that this movie was inspired by. Clearly, I'm gonna go with The Matrix.
Yep. I like that.
You don't want to watch The Matrix?
No.
No, I'm glad you made the.
I think some things of the movie were definitely inspired.
Definitely were adopted,
and it's not a bad thing.
And they used a bunch of Play-Doh from different containers to create this one.
No. I'm saying that the idea of the Inception.
Don't nod after you say shit like you said something fucking
I'm
correct.
visually, I'm metaphorically tapping you on the
saying
shoulder.
more of like the way where it's like you're in the real world, then you're in a different a fake or a digital world or a different fantasy world where you can do things that you could not do in the real world. Then in that aspect, they are similar.
Okay.
And maybe took inspiration from it. You can admit it. Come on.
Let me just explain.
It's not a bad thing.
Let me explain why I did a sigh. Okay, is that
you think I should do a different movie or what?
No.
I got other ones. It's fine.
No. I like this.
I very much enjoy The Matrix. Okay, that sigh was not about The Matrix.
Keanu, man.
My sigh was about the fact that if this is in the same realm of a movie where you are plugging into a different reality, this conversation again only got
there's more movies they can throw in the mix.
But what I'm saying though is like only 2/3 of this podcast was like really on board. You were checked out of like
I was
this
checked
movie
out
fucking
the
sucks.
moment you
This is
told
a-
me we had to watch this 2.5 hour.
That's where I'm skeptical now of like, okay, I like to go into the nitty gritty of like, okay, the Matrix, like what does that mean? Okay, over here, like are they actually in the Matrix? Like
Blue pill,
I
red
like to
pill,
go
yeah.
deep into it, and if we can do that, and all of us are on board, I'm down. But I'm just saying, if this is the blueprint.
Well, so is
you
the
were
expectation that we need to replicate this type of in-depth analysis?
No. I'm just saying though, is like that stuff interests me to go further into like what is reality.
First
what
of
is
all,
this part?
we will break it down, no problem. Second of all, The Matrix makes more sense and I think ties up more ends than this movie does.
Thank you. Yes.
Not that ties up everything, but they explain things more and things make more sense to me.
Okay. I mean, again, I haven't seen The Matrix in a bit,
And there's more
so
action.
I'll at least give that point there. I'm just saying again.
Well, I think
I just want to make sure that again, if we're gonna go down the route of sci-fi, we need to really delve into that. Like
Well,
we're at $1:30.
Yeah,
and again, I enjoy the conversation.
I enjoy this conversation
because it went in depth. If we can do that,
Yeah.
I'm all
I will
on board.
break down the process in which it takes to be in the Matrix and how the Matrix works and when we think it is.
All right, you gonna get the hookup so we can go into it?
Yes, of course.
I'm gonna go sci-fi with mine. My next one too. I'm gonna stay on this one.
All right, but we got the Matrix, the first Matrix.
Yeah, that's the only one that matters.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank you.
I know.
There are no sequels as
So
far
we
as I'm
got
concerned.
that one coming up next. Again, couple weeks. Bobby's gonna take a little siesta on the golf course there.
I think it'll be
in
good that we just
California.
saw this to have a good comparison, and it's kind of fresh in our brains. Like I think it'll be good.
Okay, as long as the dialogue is again, we go to that level. I'm super happy.
We're going to get to the level, but I'm not gonna have a whiteboard.
Yeah, we're
But
not gonna go Charlie Day with this.
I'm also
thing,
going to
yeah.
keep the usual categories and things with it, but I will explain it. And I don't think it's going to be that hard to explain.
Okay. All good, man.
Personally.
No, yeah.
Hey, what are you gonna say, Bobby?
I think it makes more sense than
I'm
Inception.
just saying, if we have to go through this recording, and I know you will, you're the producer, Woj talking about this, the movie in question, Inception, you took it as if you were sitting in the writer's room with the executive producers. You were out there framing each individual scene, and I love that. You're very passionate about it.
Yeah, it
but
was good.
You fail to recognize and fail to acknowledge, so you're in your own, I guess, limbo, that this is a modge podge of a bunch of different ideas that were great. So
Okay.
there it is. I'm glad that we could finalize it and put a stamp on it. So,
I think the idea was great. I just think there were some things that were just a little ambiguous. That's all I would say. I think it's a great movie.
In no way did you answer the question. You have now made us all dumber. I mean, Bobby, again.
I award you no points.
Hey.
May God have mercy on your soul.
I'll end on this, okay? Bobby, I love you. We can have differentiating opinions.
Oh, of
okay?
course.
We can do that, all right?
to be more correct, it definitely feels better, though.
I know we can do. You just got to incept Bobby. We'll just put it in his brain that he loves this
I know how to
movie.
gaslight this guy on the
No,
golf course.
it's-
This is easy.
It's all good. Again, this is what we do here at the Journeymen Lounge, okay? We like to have a
I
nice
like that.
dialogue.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all gravy.
Stop on by again.
It's all good. I'm not mad.
It's killing him right now.
We just, again, let's have another conversation about movies next time. We'll see how it goes. Bobby, I cannot wait till you throw out a real dog shit movie because I am just going to take a big old dump right all over.
I already
here
had
we go.
I already had the one. I was like,
It's all good.
2001: A Space Odyssey, I would agree. More of an art than anything.
I enjoyed it.
I know,
on
but
top of that.
to his point, though, it's more, I would say, of a cultural art piece than it is of an entertainment-based movie.
Right,
That's
I'm
all.
just saying that I was on the board with it. I mean, this is the first movie
You
that
can't wait to shit on one of my ideas.
I'm just
I
saying-
could see it in his eyes.
I'm waiting, Bobby, I'm waiting for a movie that I just simply don't like. But every movie that you guys have selected so far, I've at least liked in some general sense.
fantastic taste, of course.
Okay, come on. But all right, we
It's
can talk
killing it.
forever. This was a great episode. I fucking again, I loved it. It was
I'm
it was a
setting
good
up camp in his brain.
it was a good time. Bobby, you have a great time on your trip.
I thought,
We'll do,
I
thank
thought
you.
it was fantastic. We had a real PTI session going here.
We'll have a debrief of Bobby's golf, and again, I think we'll get AJ
I am
on the.
excited to hear about Thierry Hara and his
yeah,
experience.
can't wait to knock the ball around.
Yeah,
there,
and we'll
see
get
what we do.
we'll get AJ on and Josh on in the future. We got Ryan's coworker Billy. Shout out. We'll get you on soon to talk some movies as well. But again,
Yes.
for the Journeyman Lounge, as we now are called, I am one of your hosts, Woj,
I'm Ryan.
And Bobby.
and we will talk to y'all, and maybe next week, maybe in a couple weeks.
Thanks for stopping by.
All right, peace.